5 games. That's all it is now. 5 games to decide a Premier League title race that absolutely nobody wants to blink in. City are top, but Arsenal have 2 home games before they even kick a ball again in the Premier League. We could be 6 points clearing the table by then, and Newcastle are coming to the Emirates on Saturday. It's tight, it's very tense, but it is so on. So let's go.
Oh! My goodness! Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 175 of The Grove Podcast. Now, thank you for listening and I hope you're all doing very well and that you're excited for the weekend when Arsenal take on Newcastle on Saturday in the early evening slot, 5:30 UK time. And honestly, we should all be excited because it is on. It is so on. And look, I've lifted myself out of the doom and gloom of the last couple of results. I'll be honest, I was pretty glum about our chances. As much as I wanted to believe, I was finding it hard to be positive. And I was trying to listen to all the positivity, but in my head, I was finding it difficult. But now, I'm all in again. We can do this. I genuinely believe we can do it. And I guess that's how a lot of Arsenal fans are. There's the ups and downs. We believe 1 minute, we're thinking we can't do it the next, and so on. And this is the joy of being an Arsenal football fan at this very moment in time. But I'm back on the we can do it boat. So look, it won't be easy. Of course it won't. But even with the loss to City last week, there are positives to take. And as Arteta said, we've got a 5-game season on our hands. And we've got a 5-game shootout with Manchester City to win the Premier League. And we need to forget what's happened before, forget how or why it's come to this. There'll be plenty of time at the end of the season for recriminations if we need them. And we'll really hope that we won't have to go back to those. But for right now, there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. Absolutely nothing we can do about the past. It's gone. So all we can do is look ahead, embrace the opportunity in front of us and get behind the team and support them all the way to hopefully Premier League glory. So in this show, Andy and I recorded a Newcastle preview earlier in the week and I'll play that shortly. But before we get to that, last night, City beat Burnley 1-0 away, which relegated Burnley. But, that was always going to happen. And it put City top of the league and tied with us on points and goal difference. But they're ahead by virtue of scoring 3 more goals than us. So look, I don't think anyone expected anything other than a City win last night. But given they were 1-0 up after 5 minutes, I think we'll all take that result. It could have been a whole lot worse, especially like they had something like 4 XG, 28 shots. So getting out of there with only a single goal conceded is, in my mind, a small win. I'm not celebrating their win, but we'll all take that. And as I said, it comes now to a straight shootout. We match their results, keep a +1 goal difference in our favour, and the title is ours. Easy, eh? Well, I'm not so sure. Easier said than done. And obviously, as Burnley showed last night, nothing is guaranteed in either team's final 5 games. But our focus has to be on winning games first and foremost. And we let the goal difference take care of itself for now. Maybe one or 2 games to go. If it becomes a thing, if it becomes an issue in inverted commas, then maybe we have to consider it. Maybe we have to bring it into the equation as we're playing the games. But for now, just win. And look, here's a little hope brought to you by Cartoon Steve Bould that he posted on the socials last night. That's worth mentioning. He listed the remaining fixtures of both teams along with the goal difference of the opponents to date. And City's opponents, their goal difference at the moment is +10. For Arsenal's opponents, it's -58. They play Everton and they've got a GD of +1. Brentford, +4. Bournemouth, 0. Palace, -1. Villa, +6. We play Newcastle, -3. Fulham, -3. West Ham, -17. Burnley, -34. Palace, -1. So, with that in mind, it looks like we should be getting the goals and City will find it tough. I know that's not how it works, but there's a little bit of hope, something to cling on to. And look, for me, if we were playing these fixtures in the autumn, early in the season, we're getting 5 wins from 5 and scoring well. But this isn't then. This is now. And as much as anything, it's about how you deal with things mentally, how we are physically, and how technically we can execute. But I still think it gives us a little bit of hope in terms of maybe we've got the better opportunity to score goals. I think the other thing to note is that we, as I said at the beginning, we play 2 Premier League games, Newcastle and Fulham, both at home, before City play again when they play Everton, I think the following Monday. I mean, for now, this weekend, they play Southampton in the FA Cup semi-final, and I think we want them to get to the final just to add the fixture congestion. But we have a chance to go 6 points clear at the top before they next play, with nice difference, goal difference cushion, and then we're putting the pressure back on, and then it's on to them. So let's see. First, we need to deal with Newcastle. And with that in mind, I'll hand you over to the chat Andy and I recorded earlier in the week, previewing the Newcastle game. And here you go. So I'm here with Andy, and we're going to be talking about the Newcastle game, which is on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. And we're recording this before City play Burnley, but the assumption is that City will win, and will win easy. So we'll be top of the league, likely by 1 or 2 on goal difference advantage. And they're playing Southampton in the FA Cup semi-final that weekend. So it's a chance to pick ourselves back up, to go back to the top of the league, to put the pressure back on City. So, Andy, what are you looking forward to and not looking forward to as far as Arsenal versus Newcastle is concerned?
I think looking forward to would be a kind of continuation of the kind of front-footed football that we've seen against City. Obviously, injuries dependent. It would be good to see a team that featured Odegaard and Eze, whether that's Eze off the left or whether that's Eze in midfield with Rice dropping back a bit. I'm not 100% wedded to either. Personally, would maybe marginally prefer to see Eze in midfield alongside Rice and Odegaard with Trossard or Martinelli off the left. But yeah, I think just looking forward to, like, we've got 5 games to go. We've had a horrendous 3 or 4 weeks. But kind of when you think about it, the Carabao Cup final was 4 weeks ago, wasn't it? It was like the 21st or 22nd of March, so just under 4 weeks ago. And think about how much has changed since then. Like, we went into that thinking we were going to do a quadruple and that City were in the mud, and now 4 weeks later we are worried about a title race. We're out of 2 domestic competitions, and we are doing well in the Champions League still, but it just kind of highlights how quickly football can change, and at this level the margins change those things. Something can go against you, something can go for you, like in the Man City game where Gabriel doesn't get sent off. So much can change within a short period in football, and I think in order to put ourselves in the best place for that to change, we need to just do our job, and that starts against Newcastle. That starts on Saturday. So yeah, go out and perform like they've shown that they can, because if they perform like they did against City, against Newcastle, we should win relatively easily. So yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to. In terms of not looking forward, just not Chelsea, sorry. Well, basically, I just hate Newcastle. Like, I know you've got a particular hatred for Newcastle, and we went to the game at St James's in September, and that last minute Gabriel header hit absolutely just absolutely loved it. It was so good to finally get a win over them away, because they're just such a dirty team, a physical team. Like, they do what they do very well, but they play on the line, and there's the potential that they come and stink the place out. Like, we see them seasons gone past of like lowest ball time in play. They kind of just play, like, Kieran Trippier always seems to just like fall over, and they've got players that will just kind of go down. The keeper will take ages, blah blah blah, and hopefully the crowd is positive. But if Newcastle play those tricks, then there's a potential it gets nervous. Hopefully a lot of that pressure has been taken away by the City result, or at least changed. But yeah, there is that potential that they because they themselves are on a really bad run. They haven't been playing well, so they might just see it as an opportunity to come and stink the place out. They probably know they're not going to win anyway, but what they can do is seriously continue to dent our title hopes. So if they do that and they take us into deep water and the crowd start to get nervous, then that won't be a fun watch on Saturday. So yeah, pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, no, they would love that. They would absolutely love that. And I'll get on a couple of your points and my in a second. Yeah, look, as I said in the sort of Man City review game, yeah, what I'm looking forward to is goals, and what I'm not looking forward to is no goals. There you go. That's it. Simple. It's simple. I'm. This is just going to be very binary running. Score lots, let in little. That's it. It's as simple as that. So every week, that's all I'm going to be looking forward to.
Make it sound so easy.
Well, it is. Football's a simple game. Put the ball in the back of the net. Don't let it go in your net, and you win the game. You win the league. There you go. And just do it more times than everyone else. Simple as, yeah. And I'm talking to you, Havertz. And yeah, look, I remember that very fondly. I think it is my highlight of the year, that Newcastle game. Partly because I actually got to it eventually. Like you say, I only saw the last 20 minutes, but it's the best 20 minutes of football I've ever been to. Live train issues, sprinting to the stadium, getting in there, and I see yourself and Moz. And I was the lucky charm. I turn up, and then Marino gets his header, and then Gabriel. And the celebrations will live long in the memory, and it's still my highlight of the year. And you talked about our lineup. The reason why I don't think he would have Eze and Odegaard is because of that in mid. So if we're looking at the lineup and predicted lineup, yeah, you're right. It is dependent on who's fit. Yeah, again, every week we try and guess it, and every week we're wrong because I've got here Timber, Saliba, Mosquera. No, I didn't replace it. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié. But Calafiori could be back, but he won't start. Timber, could he back? Will he start, or do you go Ben White? So it's more likely to be White, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié. The reason why I wouldn't put Eze in the middle is because we know they try and be physical in the middle. So having Odegaard, Eze, and just Rice, I'm not saying Zubamendi's physical, but having a more defensive, tuned-in player like Zubi would be better. So I'd still go Zubi, Rice, Odegaard, and have Eze on the left, Havertz in the middle, and take your pick on the right. Yeah, I don't think it'll be Saka, whoever it is. So even putting Trossard on the right, who knows? But so take your pick. Who goes right. So that's sort of where I am with the team. Just because I ideally, yes, Rice, Odegaard, Eze, would love to see that. Maybe at home against Burnley, but not. I think Newcastle's not the game for that. I don't know with their team.
No, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. And I guess the benefit of bringing Zubamendi is, well, not the benefit, but like the reason you probably can do that is because we've not got a game until Saturday. It feels like it's the first time in ages that we've not had a midweek game, and Zubamendi is a class player. I still really, really like him. He's just absolutely dead in his feet. So if we can sit down and get him in the ice bath, get him in the sauna, get him in the massage chair for the next week, and just get him fully prepared for Saturday, then I wouldn't. Yeah, I do take your point about their physicality. I think Guimarães is back for them, isn't he? So like he always seems to play well for them in every game, but certainly against us, he's a bit of a dirty player. Although
he's their best player. He plays on the edge. And you said they play on the edge. They're allowed to play on the edge, but I think more so at St James's Park, because it's one of those ones. I can't send everyone off, so I don't send anyone off type scenarios. I'm being extreme, but you understand what I mean. Otherwise they'll be down to 7 men every week. But it's interesting. And I was looking at. You're right about their form. Like their last 12 games, they've won 3, 2 of them away, lost 8, drawn 1. They've lost their last 3 games, 2 of them at home, and they lost at home to Bournemouth 2-1. They lost at Palace 2-1, and they lost at home to Sunderland 2-1. And before that, Chelsea. They beat Chelsea away, and they beat Man United, at home. So it's sort of mixed results, but they're not in a great run of form. And actually, talking about their lineup, Joe Linton's suspended, so that's one of their thugs out. And their midfield was Miley, Tonali, Ramsey against Bournemouth. So actually, that's not exactly. And Guimaraes came on, so I think Guimaraes is coming back from injury, so I think that's why he was sub. But so Tonali, Guimaraes, and either Ramsey or Miley, I'm not too sure. So yeah, I still think we got to go in, match up a bit with their physicality because we know what they're like, and then we can change it up. But yeah, and look, it looks like Gordon's out injured. He may be on the verge of coming back. It says here late April. So don't know. Livramento's out. He got injured against Bournemouth, so that's a good thing. So I think he's one of their better players.
Yeah.
Shah's out.
Anna has.
Yeah. You would say interesting about the goalkeeper, who is currently Ramsdale. So is this going to be the return of the ex-goalkeeper coming and pulling a worldie, or could the Ramsdale we know and love please turn up? Where do you stand on Ramsdale being the goalkeeper for Newcastle now, and potentially playing at Emirates next week?
Yeah, it's going to be. You know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to come and have one of those Rob Green performances from back in 2008, where he just seemed to be the absolute brick wall in front of the goal. But yeah, I mean, I'll personally drive Aaron Ramsdale to the title parade if he lets a few in his net on Saturday and we end up winning the league. I'll take him there, I'll buy him his dinner, I'll take him for a few pints at the 12 pins. But yeah, I think if anything this season's he's gonna have a belter of a game, isn't he? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think you'll get a decent reaction back at the Emirates. Kind of old players tend to get a good reaction, but I think as soon as the game kicks off, all off.
We need to distract him because we know he gets bored easily. So we need to somehow distract him and take his mind off the game. But maybe that's when he plays his best. So who knows? Again, Newcastle, they're in 14th. On 42 points. If they're only one loss away being dragged into the relegation fight. They're not. Leeds are 3 points behind them. Forest are 6 points behind them. Okay, maybe there's enough games to save them. But yeah, they've had a poor season. I mean, their away form, played 16, they've won 4, drawn 4, lost 8. They've scored 16 but let in 21, so -5. Maybe Champions League has hindered their performances a bit. They put a lot of effort into that, and they don't have the squad for it. I think, like all teams, hindered by injuries. They had their Isak saga at the beginning of the season. Voltemade has gone off the boil. Wissa has not been the player he was at Brentford. The one thing, my wish for goals. The one thing is that the game always seemed to be tight, so they either lose or win by one goal. I think the last time they lost by a big margin was 4-1 against Liverpool back in January. I said Guimaraes is their best player, along with Lewis Miley and Livramento. So they're sort of relying on sort of youngsters and Bruno to do their work and to win it for them. And then what else is there? And then obviously, do you think this is Howe's last season?
You've got to assume so. I think I don't really know a huge amount. Like, Newcastle's one of those teams, I don't really pay that much attention to them until we're actually playing them, and then but you kind of just get a read on teams based on just the fixtures and the results as they kind of come through. But it seems I was about to say it seems like they've kind of thrown the towel in a way, but I mean, it could be tiredness, it could be because I think they do have quite a thin squad, and they have had injuries themselves, to be fair. So maybe it isn't that they've thrown the towel in, but it feels like there was a link to Jose Mourinho, I think, last week or the week before. So when that sort of stuff starts to come out in the media, it's usually coming from somewhere, like kind of one of those things, no smoke without fire. And yeah, I think Newcastle was a funny one because I hadn't expected Eddie Howe to make it this long, to be honest. When the Saudis came in and you thought they were gonna splash all this cash, you were thinking Eddie Howe doesn't really fit that kind of aesthetic for them. Obviously, they've kind of been limited in how much they can actually spend, and they've even had to start selling players like Isaac to make sure they're on the right side of FFP. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it was his last season. I had thought until there was a kind of tweet earlier about about Bournemouth, and I just assumed that potentially that might be somewhere he would go because Iraola's moving
go
on.
back to Bournemouth.
Go back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where he was. Yeah, and like obviously Iraola's leaving at the end of the summer, and I was like, oh, maybe that could be quite a good fit. But it looks as if Bournemouth have went with someone else, someone called Rose. So, what that means for Eddie Howe, maybe he takes England on after Tuchel pushes out in the group stage. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't be unhappy to see the end of Eddie Howe, to be honest. But if he's replaced by Jose Mourinho, then I would actually rather he stayed.
yeah. And look, if Eddie Howe goes, it means his tangerine sidekick or side prick, or his side prick Tyndall goes as well. But I think he's taken as far as he can go. I think he's done a decent job there. He's kept him in sort of Champions League contention there or thereabouts. I think they've fallen off this year. I think they're sort of a bit yo-yo-y. But I think I don't think they're going to progress. And it's interesting, the Saudi stuff, they're not getting, I think they bought it, but not to do what like they've done, clubs have done to City or anything like that. I think I don't know what their intentions are, but it doesn't look like they're just going to be. I bet all the Newcastle fans and they've sold their soul to the Saudis, all thinking we're going to be all billioned up, and I think it's far from it. I think it's self-sustainable, so not too sure. And maybe look with the rumours about Liv also struggling and the money for that also struggling, so maybe they're sort of dialing back on their sporting investments. So and long may it continue, because look. Yeah, I mean, for the city that they are, and having been at university there, you know, I think it's good for the locals, and they have the good rivalry, Sunderland and stuff like that. But they're you know, and they're a club that should really be top 8 in and around, causing a few teams trouble. I do. The thing I hate is the fact that they're allowed to be as dirty as they are, because it's really weird. They've got this like Englishness about them, so therefore, therefore. ICE5 will patronise you because we know you're going to be limited in ability, so therefore we'll allow you to kick teams, and we've suffered as a result of that. But the other side is also Howe's also had Arteta's number on occasion. You know, at the Emirates, at St James's Park. So just to turn them over, just to like take advantage of the fact they're 14th, they've lost their last 3. You know, let's. Well, we have to. We can't do anything else but win this. So, I think we do have to. Again, every game we're going to have to go and be braver, be more attacking, have more intent. And I think for this we really need to see that. And we know the way Newcastle are going to play. They're going to be high intensity, be high pressing in your face, in your nose, trying to just disrupt everything, you know, and we need to be able to just play through that, physicality, play through their intensity, you know. I think they will sit back a bit, you know, and they will sort of and then they've got very fast wingers, and then try and hit their wingers like like Barnes, Elanga. Playing up front seems to be Osula, so it seems like Voltemada really has fallen out of favour, and Wissa's nowhere to be seen. So
they
have dangerous players.
Yeah, and I think it would be a boost. It would be a boost if Gordon doesn't play, because although he's not like the mercurial talent, he does tend to be able to, in the big games. Although admittedly, in the big games at St James's, he does always seem to score, and he does seem to pull it out. So, and I think he probably is still. Yeah, their best forward. So if he's out, that would give me a good bit of confidence that we would actually they've got Elanga, they've got Harvey Barnes, but like, to be honest, like, they are players that will keep you 14th. Like, I don't think they're certainly not world beaters, and if we're playing against them, like, they're no better than what we were facing against Sporting Lisbon. Do you know what I mean? And I think we were able to kind of control that game. So if without Gordon, I think we can kind of push up and have that higher line like we did against City. And I think if we do that, we kind of get back to playing like we we were. Hopefully Odegaard's fit enough to play. And I think we'll end up just kind of grinding them down.
Yeah, unfortunately, my wants of 3-0 and 4-0, it makes me feel like it could be. So in terms of my prediction, 2-0 again, because they don't lose by many. They seem to have a decent defense. They don't lose by many. So yeah, I'm. We beat them 1-0 last year. Declan Rice, great shot by Declan Rice. We beat them 2-1 early in the season, as we alluded to last minute. So I'm reckoning 2-0. What do you reckon?
I think they'll score, to be honest. Like I think we've just lost that kind of air of dominance at the back and invincibility at the back. I think they will score, but I think we'll win 3-1. I think it's kind of like we said at the City, when we were chatting about City, like our job's clear now. Like we know what we need to do, and if anything, that simplifies it. We kind of just need to go out and we need to leave everything on the pitch, because there'll be nothing worse than for Arteta or nothing worse for the club than if we kind of just go out with a whimper. Like if the wheels totally fall off and don't know, say we only win like 2 of the next 5 or even 3 of the next 5, it's not going to look good at all. So what we need to do is just go out and put absolutely everything into these last 5 games, last 5 Premier League games.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, we've got Atletico Madrid midweek after that game on the Wednesday. Does he have that in mind at all? It's like, no, we've just got to go. We have this week off, and it's just one game at a time. One game. I know it's one game at a time, but would you have that in mind at all? So no, I have to play my strongest team to win this, and then try and get people off early if we're in a comfortable position.
No, I think the time for luxuries like that has gone when we didn't beat Bournemouth. I think you just need to go absolutely hell for leather for the next 5 games. And yeah, a lot of the international managers might not thank him for it. They're probably sitting there going, I wish Arsenal were just like maybe Thomas Tuchel. I wish they would have sewn the league up 2 weeks ago so that Saka and Rice were maybe getting rested in some of the Premier League games or for some of the minutes in a Premier League game. But yeah, no, I think we've totally lost the luxury of that, Tabs. I think the opportunity is there if we're 3-0 up or 2-0 up maybe in second halves to start resting players for Champions League games. But I think from the start we need to be hell for leather and we need to go for it.
No, I want us to go 4, 5, 6. Come on, we need to bang those goals in. Come on. So I missed your prediction. Did you say 2-1?
Oh, 3-1. Yeah.
3-1. Okay. I'll take that. That's still a 2-goal. So because actually it goes goal difference and then goal scored. So actually you're better off winning 3-1 than 2-0. But there we go. All right. Anyway.
I thought it was goal difference and then head to heads, which they've beat us.
Oh really? Oh, okay.
I just assumed it was that.
I thought it was goal scored because. Okay. Anyway, we'll worry about that for another time. You need to do one. You've got university work to do. So thank you for that quick preview of Newcastle. Thank you, Andy.
Not a problem, Hams. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Okay, cool. And see you next time. Okay, thank you, Andy, for that. And yeah, we both predicted wins. Not handsome. They've always been tight. Newcastle have not been losing by many when they lose. So let's see. And look, we'll worry about that come the weekend. But before I sign off, I think it would be remiss of me not to mention the shenanigans that's going on in West London at that despicable club known as Chelsea after they sacked LinkedIn Lian yesterday afternoon. To be honest, I think it was a manager who looked out of his depth. I'm sure he's got potential, but he was brought in as a yes man, a job he couldn't refuse. It was money he couldn't refuse. It was an offer he couldn't refuse. But his middle management TED Talk energy clearly didn't land with the players. And look, he made history by losing 5 league games in a row without scoring. They lost 7 of their last 8. He's taken Chelsea to 8th place. And they're staring down the barrel of missing out on Champions League football, maybe even all European football next season, which financially would be, a massive, massive loss for them. And they're already massively in debt. They're gaming the system really badly. They seem to be getting away with it by the Premier League. But those numbers don't look pretty, and I'm pretty sure it's not sustainable. Well, it isn't sustainable, but somehow they're managing it. So yeah, let's hope they don't make any European football next season. And personally, I think he deserves more time. like just to see, you know, how far down he could take them. But my intentions may not align with those of that despicable clown car of a club. And look, after spending something like £1.5 billion over the last 4 years, this is the best they can do. All the talk about Arsenal failing, that is proper failure. We get chastised from all angles for challenging for honours year in, year out. The only team to consistently do so in recent times. Okay, we've fallen short, but the only ones who challenging City, put up a fight for most of the season last year against Liverpool. No one else is doing that. And look, Chelsea spend all that money, get nothing for it, and they get an easy ride. So look, I just would wish bad things on that club. They are a horrible club who cheated their way to success, and they don't have a single redeeming feature. Okay, I think I'll end it there before I get too wound up. And I hope you enjoyed the pod. Thank you for listening. Genuinely means a lot. Thank you so much. We all appreciate it. And look, if you want to keep up with everything we're doing, we are also on the socials, on Threads and Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, and you can find us at the Grove AFC. I've started doing sort of mini pre-match, post-match little vids, 120, 180 second long videos, 2-3 minutes. Yeah, just a few thoughts, but also just generally on the socials. So there we go. And look, the next pod will be a review of the Newcastle game and a preview of the Atletico Madrid Champions League semi-final. That will likely drop on Sunday. Looking forward to that. And if you enjoy what you hear from the Growth Podcast, and even if you don't, but you're feeling generous, please follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating on the podcast apps, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, you know, at the Grove AFC. It really does help spread the word, helps with the algorithm, helps get us into the ears of the less fortunate than yourselves. So, and if you do so, thank you very much. And if you've done so already, thank you very much. Okay. 5 games. That's all it is. 5 games to make history. We're in it. We're alive. And it is still so on. And all that leaves me to say is, until the next time, come on you Gunners.